We noticed some other groups are importing information directly from API, but we'd like to do something more creative. Also, since we practiced how to import string from APIs in the lab before, we feel the need to challenge ourselves a bit and use graphing inside our project. This is a 2-week project, so we have no intention to make it too difficult. At first, we decided to build a price wheel for menus, but then we thought it might be better to leave it to be sort of open-ended. So the project we have now is really adaptive. With small modification, it can be used to generate menus, course lotteries, etc. We made 2 activities in general. My partner did the first activity and I did the second.
This is a multi-activity application, simply saying there are two different screens doing completely two different things. Before demoing our app, we would like to first address some difficulties that we encountered. First technical difficulty that we had to overcome was to learn how to send data back and forth between two different activities, or screen. While in a normal Java object-oriented program, we can simply use a get function to access certain variables, in this app we had to use a tool called intent. Intent is an extremely handy tool that is used extremely frequently when creating a multi-activity application, for it has the ability to trigger a different activity and also has the ability to send data back and forth. Learning how to use this tool was definitely a challenge, yet it also allowed us to do something a little bit more complicated. Another technical difficulty that we had to overcome was learning how to use the animation feature. Animation feature was a lot more than dragging and dropping an animation on an object for it to run. There were lots of parameters that we had to care about, and it was a bit of a challenge to make it completely random.
Before the actual demo, we would like to explain some parts of the code, and we would like to start with the second activity of the second screen. The second screen UI consists of 12 different text boxes for the user to complete, for there are 12 different spaces in the random wheel, and it also has a button that takes the user to the wheel when the user is ready. The button will also send information that the user has entered inside the 12 text boxes. This process is completed through this section of code. First, the app converts all material into string variables. Then it uses a method called putExtra. This method acts like sending a package. So simply imagine yourself putting multiple objects in the box and sending it to a different place. The first parameter is the label, and the second parameter is the variable that the user is sending. Finally, using the start intent method, then the package has been sent and you are now at the main activity, or the main screen with all the data from the previous screen.
Later in the app demo, the first thing you'll notice in the main screen is probably the wheel. When the user presses the spin button, the wheel will eventually spin randomly, sometimes fast, sometimes slow with different acceleration. Such was created using the animation feature of Android. First, I initialize a rotate spinner. In order for it to run successfully, I have to give it a little bit more details. First, I have to give it an angle to start from and an angle to stop spinning at. I also have to set it to rotate respect to itself so it doesn't start rotating all over the screen. I have to set its duration. The duration is fixed, and therefore depending on the randomly generated degree value, the wheel can sometimes spin faster or slower. Now going back to the package that the user has sent from second activity, it's time for the first activity to receive the package and the information, and such is done through getStringExtra method. The rest is straightforward, dividing the circle into 12 different pieces. Depending on the section the wheel lands on, it would return the corresponding object. Alright, so here's this demo. First we go to reset item to set the 12 items. I'll just set them from A to L. Then I click the Go to Spinner button. That will take me to the spinner. I click Spin, and the wheel is going to spin and it's going to randomly generate a value. I can do this multiple times. And there you go.